It's been a long time since I did this format on my channel, but if there's any smartphone that warrants this particular treatment, it's going to be the more unique form factor segment. And the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 is the company's latest and honestly most refined version of their big screen convertible yet. So let's open things up, as it were, and see who might benefit from this type of phone the most. Hey, it's Joshua Vergara. What's going on, everybody? Let's explore the question, who is the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 4 for? Time for some standard disclaimers. I do have a sponsor for this video and it is Hisense, but we'll get to that a little bit later. Also, this is not an exhaustive list of who this phone is for. Given that I cannot exemplify certain users because that's literally just not who I am, I'm not going to be able to cover literally all of the bases, and that's where you come in. You let me know who else you think this phone would work for, especially if you are that type of user. Feel free to tell me what your experience has been in the comment sections down below, and of course, to keep up with everything that I'm doing, make sure you subscribe to my channel. Let's get one of the obvious things out of the way. Fold means bigger, flip means smaller. And if you're going for the fold, it's because you want that bigger inner screen to be your canvas for all of your work and play. There are some things to keep in mind with Samsung's implementation though. First off, things aren't dramatically different from last year's model, and it shows mainly in the fact that right here there is still the crease in the middle. Some would say that the crease is there for durability's sake, as a screen that is flush on itself could invite scratches from anything that's caught in the middle. On that note, the brushes that keep everything out of the hinge still do their job quite well, and it's reassuring to consistently feel the sturdiness of this folding action. All of that comes together to give a large 7.6-inch display a lot of room to shine, or maybe you just want to hide it depending on your current configuration. So it really shouldn't be much of a surprise that people who are rocking a Z Fold are all about that all-screen, all-the-time life. Even singular tasks like watching videos or browsing websites are just better because they're bigger. Now, this is a thought that I could have only really realized by using the phone as my daily over the last month or so. One thing that and I think many of us adore here is that Samsung made the outer display way better. And it didn't take too much when you think about it. They made it a bit wider by lessening the amount of bezel all around, and the result is a much more normal workspace when the phone is folded down. That was one of the gripes that I think everyone had with like previous Z Folds. It just didn't feel like a good enough phone when it was closed. But now it's way easier to just use the Z Fold 4 normally without having to open it up, making it just as much a phone as it is a tablet. I mean, sure, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is still going to be bulkier than conventional candy bar phones, but now you don't really have to wrestle with the weird aspect ratios as much or any of the problems that a really small display can bring up. And yet with the Fold, you get the best of both worlds. You can have the smaller version that is a little bit like other candy bar phones, but then you get the bigger version, all in one package. Virtually no other phone can provide the level of media consumption enjoyment than this kind of foldable, and in the US it is actually the only one that is available. Now, I'm not going to go as far to say that the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is a tablet replacement because let's be honest, most products that tablet users enjoy are going to be larger than what this phone is when it's unfolded. But as we've been talking about up until now, the big screen is just a big upgrade when it's the thing that you're able to carry around all the time. Everything from YouTube to Netflix to even TikToks look great on here. Although I will take some points away from Instagram because they are still unable to actually support the bigger screen properly. So media consumption seems like a no-brainer obviously, but like I said in my first video regarding this phone, I had an immediate aha moment because as the phone was arriving, as the Z Fold 4 came to me, I was actually quite ill with a classic but severe head cold. Well, I spent the better part of a few days just binge watching Korean dramas on the Galaxy Z Fold 4 while lying in bed, something that I could have easily done on any other smartphone, but it just felt even better on the larger screen of the Fold. Of course, there are even better places to watch something like Our Beloved Summer or Extraordinary Attorney Woo, and that's where the sponsor of my video comes in. A portion of this video is sponsored by Hisense and their L5G Ultra Short Throw Projector. For an upgrade to your media viewing experience, Hisense has you covered with their projection tech. Bundled with a 100 or 120-inch ALR or ambient light rejecting screen that mounts onto a wall, the L5G uses their X-Fusion laser engine to project highly vibrant 4K images onto your home theater setup. I've had one as the centerpiece of my living room setup for some time now, and I keep coming back to it for hours at a time, watching everything from movies to Korean dramas to even the local news. And all of that is readily available thanks to the full Android TV software suite that is pre-installed. Speaking of smart capabilities, access to the Google Assistant via this remote makes this smart TV a great companion to smart home setups. You can talk to Google Assistant easily and then hear its responses via the built-in 30-watt speakers on the unit itself. Really, it's just easy to enjoy just about anything on a screen this size. And because the L5G laser TV can render everything with great color and detail, even video gaming is quite the experience. I mean, if you've ever wanted to throw your favorite video games onto a theater screen, this can scratch that itch. And with a dedicated game mode and auto low latency available via the high-speed HDMI 2.1 ports, the L5G pairs well with any game console for proper enjoyment. And so to check out the Hisense L5G for yourself, make sure you check the link in the description and in the pinned comment below. It can be a massive upgrade for your viewing pleasure. One last time, check out the Hisense L5G 4K laser TV in the links found below, and thank you again to Hisense for sponsoring this video. Now, with all of this screen real estate, it would be a shame if it wasn't used to its full potential, and that's why I give Samsung and honestly Android a lot of credit for making strides in supporting the tablet-like experience with One UI. See, split screen is one thing. You can get one app on top and one on the bottom, and you can do that on the outer screen just fine. But when you basically 2 or 3x that amount of workable area, you should be able to put one app up here in the corner or one app over on the side and then have something floating on top of everything. But now it's simpler and more intuitive to create these workspaces. You just have this dock on the bottom, which is literally called the taskbar, which gives you access to all of your various applications, which you can then just touch and drag over so that you can create the workspace that you want, right down to having all of these in the corner or over on the side. And then if I were to have something like YouTube playing, I can actually have yet another application just floating right on top. And this is a workspace that I have used quite often. A few examples of the multitasking scenarios include like any app and then the BlueLink app for monitoring my car's charging status while it's sitting at a charger and I'm walking around the mall. Another one is like a browser for research while typing notes in Notion. But multitasking doesn't have to stay on the phone screen exclusively. The phone itself can be one other screen in your connected life. Now I know a laptop can pretty much do everything by itself and it might have way more screen to do so, but I do find myself putting the Galaxy Z Fold 4 to the side of my laptop, either playing something through wireless earbuds or just displaying messages from Telegram while I do emails and script and type on the notebook. So anyone with a multi-screen lifestyle can find a way of using the Galaxy Z Fold 4 as yet another one, and often it fits right in. One scenario that I find myself doing more often because I have the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is reading. I do like my e-readers, but when I don't have them, it's nice to have this here so that I'm able to just open up the book and actually get into anything that I want to read quite easily. At times, I just end up turning on the blue light reduction so that it's a little bit more akin to my e-reader. And actually, as part of the multitasking bit that I was talking about earlier, one thing that I have tried to do with the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is have Kindle and Notion on at the same time so that I can actually take notes on what I'm reading, something I haven't really done since my scholastic years. But in general, reading on the Fold is pretty comfortable and an obvious size upgrade from other conventional smartphones, whether you're reading a Kindle book, a news article, or even some manga. The manga in particular is actually a big boon for the Fold as a daily device for those of you anime lovers out there. But other than for people who just like to read, the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is also useful for people who need, let's say, reading glasses. We all know those people who need to blow up the scaling of their smartphones due to their eyesight, usually because of age. And we also know people who have to do that on really small phones, and thus only 6 words fit on the screen when the scaling is so large. I think as long as seniors can get used to the mechanics and the software of the Galaxy Z Fold 4 ultimately, it's a good canvas for fitting more on the screen while still having everything at a comfortable size. I mean, look how much you can fit on here because you have this much screen. So if you're someone with poorer eyesight, old or young, and you've gotten into foldables because they can help in that regard, let me know what your experience has been in the comments. Now from media to reading, we can finally get to another form of fun, and that's gaming. I have to admit something though, with how crazy the tech work has been over the last number of months, the amount of gaming I've actually done on any smartphone or even on my consoles has been really low. Now I just call this section the distracted because even I can't call myself a huge gamer these days. That being said, it's obvious that with the Snapdragon 8 Plus Gen 1, there's way more than enough power for this phone to handle every single mobile game in the Play Store. And with the screen, you can view even more of it as long as it's able to render across the entire display, which I think is even more supported by the Galaxy Z Fold 4 because of the slim standing case. Seriously, this is partially why I keep coming back to the Galaxy Z Fold. Just stand the phone up, connect maybe a controller or something, and the Fold can become a small but effective little gaming console. This one is just fun, and what I found myself doing way more often than I expected. If you happen to have a big screen like this just waiting to be shown or to show off to other people, you make the effort to actually do that. So every single time I wanted to show off a picture or a video or like even a TikTok to someone, I would poke them to get their attention, say, hey, check this out, and then open up the phone so it was better for them to view what I was sharing. This one goes out to the creators. The Galaxy Z Fold 4 actually got proper upgrades to its cameras, making it closer to the kind of quality or spec that you would expect expect from the Galaxy S line. You have a 50 megapixel main camera that will bring detailed shots and nice shallow depth of field, while the ultra-wide and the zoom don't fall too far behind in quality. But the thing I've been having the most fun with is this selfie mode, where you start off with the camera on the cover screen, hit that selfie button, and now you have a way of actually vlogging with the main cameras here on the back, including that 1X, that main sensor that gives you a nice shallow depth of field. You can of course head over to the wide angle, and then you have a more traditional vlogging type of angle. This is always so fun to do on both the Z Fold and the Z Flip 4. The camera here on the cover screen is also capable of 4K video recording, and it's probably the one that you're going to want to use the most for content creation, because the camera on the inner screen just doesn't cut it for that. And because you're able to do this, it makes the Galaxy Z Fold 4 kind of a good run-and-gun vlogging or social media camera to use, especially with vertical video like this. If I don't have my camera around, I just end up using the main sensor on here, and it does a pretty good job already. I mean, look how fun this portrait video looks. A quick shout out to the homie Jason Vong for showing me this one. If you are going into the camera and then you go into flex mode, you can actually grip the phone like this so that it's easier to maneuver it around, have a little bit more stabilization based upon the grip that you have. This is actually really comfortable if you're going to do like some action shots. What's funny is that he figured this out within minutes of me letting him play with my Galaxy Z Fold, while I literally never thought about it after multiple generations of having this phone. Goes to show you how the minds of techies and photographers can be very different. Now, I do have a few people that this phone might not be for, and I have to roll it back and say the vlogger again. While the cameras are generally very good and you get what basically amounts to a flip-out screen on a mirrorless camera, the form factor of the Fold makes it a bit tougher to actually use in many scenarios. Compared to the Galaxy Z Flip 4, the body of the phone requires you to keep everything in landscape mode, and then that outer display is what is on the floor or the surface that it is sitting on, potentially making the outer screen scratchable. This just adds a bit of precariousness, and it means that vertical videos for social media are a lot harder to get. Not to mention it's harder to find accessories for actually mounting the phone on tripods and phone grips so that you can do like smartphone vlogging or talking heads or anything like that. Now, don't get me wrong, I think the Galaxy Z Fold 4 can handle pretty much everything on the daily grind. The hinge is still nice and strong. I don't think it's going to change much over the course of me using this phone, and barely anyone that I know has had any major issues with like the screen, and pretty much everyone eventually forgets that the crease also means there's that slight gap in the middle. What I'm saying is virtually no one that I know has had any major durability issues, but all of those people also aren't like mountain biking on the regular. They're not surfing off multiple beaches every month, and they're not even getting over to the gym on a super regular basis. I know I don't fit into those categories, but I am working on the gym one though. All of that is to say that the Galaxy Z Fold 4 is still something you have to be kind of wary of. Even I was overly cautious with last year's phone when I took it to the beaches of Hawaii, something that Samsung themselves says no one should be doing. I mean, if any of that sand got stuck in the screen and I closed it hard enough, that would have been scratch city. I still worry that a fall can take out even one part of what is basically a big block of glass that I'm taking everywhere with me. And heaven forbid anything actually falls onto the phone. I'm sure there are more people out there who are very outdoorsy and less careful by nature of their Z Folds, and to them I just say, Godspeed. And finally, I know this is an obvious one, but the foldable market is still not easily accessible by most people. As exciting as the form factors might be, and no matter how many people are impressed by them at first glance, the same reaction comes up like 8 times out of 10. A cheeky no thank you when they realize that the price is so high. That's mostly true for the Fold, because the Flip is roughly the same price as most conventional flagship smartphones, but that still goes to show you that you're paying the premium primarily because the foldables, well, fold. Hopefully there will come a point soon where way more people can get a regular phone that pairs down and fits easier in small pockets, or a large screen that can go with them everywhere, but at a price that's easier to handle. But for now, I'm sure there are plenty of you who are enamored with foldables but still don't feel comfortable paying for one. And even after almost a few years of them being in mainstream existence, you might still have to stay with that feeling for some more time still. And so there you have it. That was a long one, but I did want to go through different types of users that I think the Galaxy Z Fold 4 might be for and who it might not be for. Let me know if you think there should have been other people in the list. Let me know who those might be, and if you are that person as well. Let me know what your experience has been like in the comments down below. Let me know your thoughts on the Galaxy Z Fold 4 and what the foldable life has been like for you. But from there, I'm going to go ahead and call it on this one. Thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me again today. Please take care of yourselves and each other, and enjoy your tea, everybody.